Yeah, and one of the things I do say when I'm speaking to agents is
Mm.
I start off with, we are looking to develop, let's just say we're doing a subdivision,
Yep.
but develop lots in the area. We're looking to partner with, a superstar agent, do you know any? And usually they're like, ha ha ha, that's me.
Mm, mm,
And
mm.
so, like I said, create create that rapport as well.
Yeah.
But it is because you want to be able to have someone that's on your side. And one question that I often find really draws them is, what is the sweet spot that I need to deliver a product for you to be able to sell?
Mm. God, I love it. What a
And
wonderful
at that
question.
price, and
Mm,
what sort of dimensions, what
mm,
sort of price,
mm,
who is it for? Because I want to be able to deliver a product to you
mm,
that you can sell overnight.
mm,
And then that sort of is, and it really opens up the floodgates in terms of this sells, whatever, whatever, whatever,
mm, mm,
um so those sort of questions there, I like the sweet spot question,
mm.
because there's always sort of a sweet spot of some sort.
I think also people like to be heard and they like to have their opinion heard.
Yeah.
And, here's an agent who it's like, oh, really? So you're interested in what I've got to say? And would you consider doing a
Mm,
3-bedroom townhouse as opposed to a 2-bedroom unit? And I suggest that so for example, for me, on one of my projects at the moment, I was looking at doing some 1-bedroom units and they said, don't do it. Don't do it. It was a wonderful conversation. And so we've changed tact ever so slightly. But had I not had that conversation, maybe, I'm just saying maybe, I might have headed down the path of doing all of these, 1-bedroom units
mm,
and may have had a real problem with it. So, my point is that the agents are incredibly valuable. And it comes down to, for me, 3 words, Cheryl: know, like, and trust. And know being KNOW, so know, so they know you, you know them. You're not but KNOW. Like, they like you, you like them, and there's trust between the pair of you. And that's how strong relationships are built, and they are sustained over a long period of time. And from a if you think about a lot of developers, and again, I'm sure there'll be people who scream at me, but a lot of developers will just want to take from an agent. So I know we're talking about how do we deal
mm,
with agents like a pro, but there'll be a lot of people out there who just take, take, take.
mm,
And if you can be a developer who rises up from the pack, this is about, there's a cluttered marketplace of hungry developers, and how do I, as this little developer, rise up above the pack? And I do that because, really, I call them the 1%ers. I show some courtesy. I'm very kind. I'm very considerate. And there's a genuineness in what I'm saying. I follow through on what I'm saying. If I say I'm going to come back to an agent within a particular time frame, you come back to an agent within a particular time frame. So this is how you build the relationship of know, like, and trust, and it's so critical. And this is how you ultimately have deals that flow to you. Like, they literally flow like
mm.
rivers of gold. They flow, and so this is all around attraction selling. And attraction selling is, how do I build up a relationship to a point where things just flow to me? Right. And they flow to me because I've worked very, now this is not a, hey, I've had one conversation with an agent and I know them, I like them, I trust them, and this Tony bloke said that's all I need to do. It doesn't work that way. It's just about sustainable, consistent and persistent effort. It's put your cape on, CAPE, consistent and persistent effort, all the time, constantly calling them up, constantly adding value. So again, it's not about take, it's about add value, add value, add value. And when you do that, you elevate yourself in those eyes of that agent.
You never cease to amaze me with the acronyms that you come up with. CAPE. So
Yeah, put your cape
consistent.
on.
Yep, yep.
Consistent and persistent effort. So,
Persistent
so,
effort.
so, so, so I think about, when we were kids, right? So I think about when I was a kid, and you put you put your tablecloth on, and that'd be your cape, and you'd run around the backyard, and you just felt unstoppable. And I just think, why don't we go back to, thinking about our inner child, and the things that we did back then. We just had no real inhibitions as kids. But yet, as
Yes.
we grow and as adults, we've got all these, poor experiences, and we watch the news, and someone says you're not good enough, and what, and all this stuff happens to us, and we form all of these limitations. And one of the things that I pride myself on, and certainly whether it be with me personally or with my clients, is how do I get them to remove the limits? It's not saying that
Mm,
I've been able to remove every single limit in my world. I touched on one a little earlier, speaking about Kate, right? So about flying. So, it's about how do we remove a lot of the limitations and push through the barriers that we've got for ourselves. But the secret to success, in my experience, is to constantly keep taking action and showing up. I think Woody Allen said that 80% of success is just showing up, by just being there and calling an agent, and then calling them 2 weeks after, and calling them 2 weeks after that, and calling them 2 weeks after that. And you constantly do it, as opposed to, Tony, I called an agent once and I didn't get anything, and I just think that's a whole lot of crap. And trust me, I've had people say that to me, and I think it's incredibly sad. And they're the people, we live in this world of instant gratification where it's like, well, I do something and I want a result. I do a post on Facebook and I want to get a like. I do something, I need this instant gratification. Whereas that's not how it works. And I was reflecting, I do a Sunday mindset session with a good mate of ours, Luke Moroney, and I was reflecting just recently on the fable of the tortoise and the hare, and the fact that slow and steady wins the race. And it's funny, we heard that as kids, and I didn't really think much of it. I thought it was just an interesting story. But now that I look back and I think, oh my gosh, like that as kids, that was teaching us something for our life. And you and I are parents, and there's plenty of parents who are out there watching. And so, slow and steady wins the race. Be patient with this, and my, one of my idols, Gary V, whose photo actually was the one that knocked on the ground earlier. That was the noise.
Did you just go, Gary?
No, I didn't. No. But he talks about micro speed and macro patience, right? And micro speed means do plenty of things very productively, be very productive with the things that you do, but be patient for the outcome. So call a heap of agents, go and do letterbox drops, go and do all these things, like do an enormous amount of activity now, but be patient for the outcome. So micro speed, macro patience, and it's so true. So stick with this, so go back to the agent piece, which is what tonight's all about. Consistently reach out to the agent, build a relationship. You don't build a relationship, just think about any relationship, not just with an agent. Think about your friends. You didn't just become great friends from one interaction. It's because you did things over and over and over and over and over and over again. And this is no different. And I'm not suggesting that you need to, go and be personal friends with agents, but you certainly want to have a professional respect with them, and treat them with respect and treat them friendly. You don't have to be buddies and all those sorts of things. You can be if you want. There's nothing wrong with it, but but it takes time to build those sorts of relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I show the audience a snapshot from your fantastic playbook?
Yeah, go for it.
Which has a list of questions, because I know we were talking about questions there. It'd be really handy for everyone to be able to see it. So I'm going to share on my page. Scusi, while I do the technology. Here we go. Look at that. Wonderful. Property discovery questions.
Yeah, correct.
Excellent.
You go.
So shall we go through this? I think you covered a few of these already. Why are the vendors wanting to sell? Have you had any offers yet? If yes, no. If so, how much and when? What price are the vendors prepared to accept? Sunil says it's an awesome book. Thanks, Sunil.
Thank you, Sunil. I appreciate it.
I'm saying thank you on your behalf.
Thank you. So my publisher Cheryl is saying thank you very much, Sunil. So I'm just going to put the link into the notes for those who haven't got it. So it's the bit.ly that I've literally just posted now. So if you click on that link, it should take you through to get a copy of the book. I hope it works. So if you haven't got it, please get it, and you'll be able to read for yourself what Cheryl is doing. Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. Yeah, so why are the vendors wanting to sell? Again, we touched on the motivation. Have there been any offers yet? Let's understand what some of the offers. What is it that the vendors have rejected? It gives you a bit of a sense of, well, they've rejected an offer at 700. Okay, so so if I came in with an offer of 680, what do you think their response will be? Well, I think they'll reject it. Okay, cool. So you wanted to just establish where is the vendor at? What price do you think they're willing to accept? And again, just because you've asked these, please don't always expect to get a response. But at least when you ask them, you give yourself half a chance of response, because a lot of agents might say in that question, I'm going to let the market decide. I'm going to let the market determine what the appropriate price is, which is fair enough. But you can certainly ask some questions around that. How did they come up with the price? I love this one, right? So, they're wanting $1 million, right? And you, as the developer, you've gone and done your numbers, and you're sitting at about 800,000. So, rather than say, "Oh gosh, that's a bloody rip-off," or "That's bloody ridiculous," what you can do in the spirit of kindness and building a relationship is say, "Oh look, fascinating. So, how did they come up with, or how did you come up with that particular price?" Right? Maybe you're going to find some information out that you didn't think of, because here's the thing. RP data and Price Finder have a lag, right? So there's a lag when information gets entered in. So maybe there was a property that sold at a higher price than was previously recorded, and maybe that hasn't been entered into RP data and Price Finder yet. So maybe by you asking that question, they say, well, look, the reason we came up with this price is because the property at 123 Smith Street actually sold for 10% above market. Oh my gosh, right? So maybe there's some, or maybe you get some BS response as well, right? And so that's where I go back to the comment that I said earlier, that the majority of agents don't understand development, don't understand the costs involved in development, and they've come up with a price. And so it's up to us as developers to educate the agent. And here's the thing: when you educate an agent, do you think that you're increasing the likelihood of building your relationship of know, like, and trust? 100%. If you are the person who's going to add value to an agent who doesn't understand developing and help upskill them, what do you think is going to happen? What you could also say is, hey, listen, when you get a development site come across your books, be more than happy for you to flick it through to me and I can give you my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Great. Do you know what I mean? So now I'm going to help that agent, right, look good, look knowledgeable, right? For a lot of agents, it's all about ego. So it's like, well, how do I help stroke the ego of that particular agent by helping them educate themselves and upskill themselves in regards to giving them some of the finer points of some of the costs involved. They just don't understand all the costs involved, and then also that that we're actually doing this because we're making profit. Right, we're not a charity. We're lovely people, us developers, but we're doing it because we need a bit of this, right? So to take them through some of the steps, I think is incredibly valuable and can help build your relationship. What could the what could the end product sell for? Again, we talked about it before. Start with the end in mind, and what could that end product sell for? Any other conditions that the vendor is looking for? Maybe they want to rent back. Maybe they're happy with long settlements. There could be a whole range of things, right? So again, if you don't ask these things, you're never going to know. Anything else you can tell me about the property? Maybe there's not, right? But you ask that question and it may prompt something else to come up. Okay, so again, you've got to ask these things, at least give yourself half a chance of getting some of the responses.
Yeah, like a mighty big easement up the back.
Could be,
That
right?
might
Could be. Yeah, and again, look, in your due diligence, the other thing that I'll say is disclaimer. Don't always take what an agent says as gospel either. So yes, there's a lot of wonderful agents out there, but there are also some agents who are less than scrupulous, and so don't always just take that for gospel. Do your own research, do your own due diligence, but at least ask the question. Because the other thing about asking the question, right, and this is a little test that I do with agents, it helps me understand their truthfulness. So if I know something about a property and I've done my research in Price Finder and I know how long the property's been listed for and I know what the property's been listed at, when I ask the question, how long's the property been listed for, I already know the answer. And I'm doing it to understand how truthful is this person going to be to me. And I'm hoping that they are, but I know the answer. And then if they're not truthful to me, then all of a sudden I have alarm bells fly off in my head around the additional things that I ask. And not so much what I ask, but the answers that I get.
Yeah, yeah, and I think one of the other things that I think these are really, really great questions because it's really diving into and getting the agent to think as well, around, what are the conditions the vendors are looking for? Because there might be certain needs that the vendors have that they sort of go, actually, especially if you're dealing with older vendors, are they needing to sell before they buy their next place? Are they needing to move into a retirement home? In which case, whatever. And so it gives you a lot more scope to be able to craft your offer.
Yeah. Developers are problem solvers. That's what we are.
Mm.
Let's not pretend we're anything but, right. We solve problems, and the more problems, potentially the more profit, right? So the more problems we solve, sorry, not the more problems we solve, then potentially the more profit. And so if someone's got a problem, then how do we solve that for them? How do we help that person with that particular problem? Maybe there might be a case, and I've had this happen to me when purchasing, where someone has needed to get access to some of the deposit early.
Mm.
I'll agree to that price, but I need to get access to 20 grand. I've got this looming thing to pay. Fine, no problems. Let's put that into our contract. Let's negotiate that in, right? And so you're able to have those types of conversations once you understand what are the points, the pain points, what are the problems that the vendor needs to solve.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
where, we want to come at it from a really flexible point of view as well, because you might go there wanting to buy the property, but you might walk away from that conversation potentially doing a JV with the homeowner. They might say, look, we really love staying here,
Mm.
and
Mm.
this is just a really big backyard, and I'm old and I can't mow it anymore. And you might end up just doing a JV with them.
Mm.
Fantastic, right?
Mm.
So it's about having the conversations and really understanding the why this, why do you want to sell, why that price, and it's a curious mindset, Cheryl. And I've been very fortunate because of the career that I've had, that in sales, not in real estate sales. I've been in consumer goods, but I've spent the last 25 years of my life in sales. And so I understand the importance of this, and a lot of it comes naturally to me now. It never used to. But it's always about having a curious mindset. Someone says
Mm.
something, what's the next thing that
Mm.
I can ask from that? And as a coach, it's exactly what I do as well. Someone will say something and I'll follow it up with a question. I'll always look to dig a little bit deeper. And so it's about, constantly ask those questions. And the great thing about this cheat sheet is that you can literally print this up. I've designed this book to print these pages up. There's 2 pages of questions. Print it up, put it
Oh,
on your
lovely.
desk beside you. No, go the other way.
Sorry. Oh, there we go. Yes.
So the idea is that you can write in the property address, the real estate agent's name. You can write the date in. You can ask about the features and all the known issues and how long's it been on the market for and why has it been on the market for that long. Blah 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 blah. You got 2 pages. Go and print a heap of them up. Right? Go and print up 10, 20 versions of this. Stick it on your desk. Sit there with your phone and literally read off the script. Right? And what will happen in a conversation is conversations will head off in different directions. Right? And that's cool because you've now got a little prompter to bring you back, to get you centered again as to the types of things that you'd like to ask next. So it doesn't matter where the conversation goes, because I know that I can go back to my thing, and no one's going to see you, right? Because you're having this conversation over the phone. And guess what happens when the more times that you have these cheat sheet or discovery questions in front of you, eventually you don't need them,
Mm.
because eventually you've done it that much that you get yourself into the rhythm and the routine. Or you might say, you know what, this is a really good practice and I'm happy to keep this going. Either way, I'm happy. But the point is that when you're starting out, it's about coming up with some things that ensure that you're consistent. And also, when you have a phone conversation, how often does it happen when you hang the phone up and you go, oh, I should have asked that thing, whatever that
Yeah.
thing is, right? And it's like, well, cool. So here is the list of those things. And if you hang up the phone before asking the questions, well, that's on you because it's on the cheat sheet. So that was the idea of it.
Fantastic. I love it. I have a question from Amir. If you have a development of 7 to 10 units in a
Mm.
suburb, would you consider giving that one project to a few local agents or just look for one good one?
Yeah, so again, this is about building the relationship. So Amir, I'm not sure if this is a new suburb for you. There's pluses and minuses about going open and going exclusive, right? And so the pluses about going open is that you're casting your net wider, right? But the negatives about going open is that you're not going to get the focus that you want, because as an agent, and you've got to, again, spending my life in sales, and I've never ever have I been an agent. So there's I just want to clear that up for people. But not that there's anything wrong with that, by the way. But the point is that an agent doesn't want to go and put effort into a property if it's an open
Mm.
listing, if then
Mm.
the agent down the road goes and sells it out from under them. An agent's not going to go and
Mm.
spend money on marketing if the agent down the road is going to go and sell it out from under them. So, the benefit of having exclusivity is that that agent is working for you. The downside of having exclusivity is you have exclusivity. right? And so that is that the agent down the road may be able to sell it for you, and perhaps they can't, or you might be able to encourage a conjunct or whatever it might be. But the point is that there's pluses and minuses for both. So again, it's about understanding the psychology of the person across the desk from you. And so in this instance, if you're going to talk to three or pick a few agents, by all means interview plenty. But I'd encourage you to really think about the positives of going exclusive versus the positives of going open. Because again, if you want an agent to work very hard for you, you've got more of a chance of doing that if it's exclusive.